think I'd ever act that way. I'm heartbroken, where's the faith and the trust? I've been working late trying to make that paper so I can put food on the table for us. And as for the lipstick, she's just a friend, so please don't go and overanalyze. Look into my eyes, what I'm saying is true. I could never tell a Lana lies.
Boy, Mr. Mystic, boy, why you sneak, sneak, boy?
I never creep, creep, I belong to you completely.
Boy, you got a sweet treat, boy, so why you cheat, cheat, boy?
You cut me deep, deep, I'm innocent, you need to believe me.
Took me into bed and told me such a tale, but we all know how this one ends with deceit and betrayal. You won't think it's fun when you lose number one, 'cause I'm too hot to be looking foolish for a snake like you.
What you're saying is crazy. I think that you may be paranoid because it's all inside your head. You suffer from jealousy, so you should get therapy. You're a doctor to prescribe some meds. But now you come home from work early to find us both in bed red-handed. Whoops, now I know what you're thinking, but let me explain, because babe, it's not how it looks.
Boy, Mr. Mystic, boy, why you sneak, sneak, boy?
I never creep, creep, I belong to you completely.
Boy, you got a sweet treat, boy, so why you cheat, cheat, boy?
You cut me deep, deep, I'm innocent, you need to believe me.
It's such a shame, 'cause your blue eyes drive me insane. But no, you've got to go, 'cause I can't live in your dirty shadow.
Babe, come on. It was just a mistake. I swear. She means nothing to me.
Boy, Mr. Mystic, boy, why you sneak, sneak, boy?
Baby, please, please, I promise there won't ever be a repeat.
Boy, you got a sweet treat, boy, so why you cheat, cheat, boy?
I'm on my knees, knees, and I'm begging you not to leave me.
Boy, Mr. Mystic, boy, why you sneak, sneak, boy?
Baby, please, please, I promise there won't ever be a repeat.
Boy, got a sweet treat, boy, so why you cheat, cheat, boy?
I'm on my knees, knees, and I'm begging you not to leave me.
Hello. Hello, Daisy, Sika, Kamiko, Lei, and anyone else who may be tuning into the stream at the moment. We have the Prophet Kitty here already, so she's blessing the stream. She's purring. If she purred louder, then maybe it could pick up on the microphone, but she doesn't purr super loud. Or if anyone would like, you're more than welcome to join the queue. It is open. I'll probably go post the stream link in the Sanctuary of the Crossroads. There we go. How has everyone's weeks been so far? I believe it's Thursday morning for some people. Currently, it's Thursday evening for me. Oh my goodness. That's a huge trip. Egypt, Greece, and Rome. How long are you going for? Thank you for lurking, Lay. We'll also do our opening hymn to Hermes. I left my book on the bookshelf and it's a bit cold, so I don't necessarily want to go get the book, but I do have a virtual copy of the same book on my computer. So as usual, we dedicate these streams to Hermes. Hear me, Hermes, messenger of Zeus, son of Maia, almighty in heart, lord of the deceased. Judge of contests, gentle and clever, O Argifontes. You are the guide of the flying sandals, a man-loving prophet to mortals, a vigorous god you delight in exercise and in deceit. Interpreter of all you are and a profiteer who frees us of cares, who holds in his hands the blameless tool of peace. Lord of Kurikos, blessed, helpful and skilled in words, you assist in work and you are a friend of mortals in need. You wield the dreaded, the respected weapon of speech. Hear my prayer and grant a good end to a life of industry, gracious talk, and mindfulness. "10 days in Egypt. That is so awesome." Ah, so you have like 3 separate trips to Egypt and then Greece and then Rome? That's really cool. Hello, Caleb. Hello, Nico. I would love to be going to Egypt for 10 days and then Greece for however many days you're going. And then I love Italian food, so I'd love to go to Rome as well. But that is so cool. Is it all happening in 2026 or is it like across the years? And also, Daisy, feel free to let me know either before or after you answer my question what you would like for your reading. We'll get started. 2027. So real. That's awesome. Yes. Do you have a specific question for her? All right. And a question for anyone in the room. I got inspired by Daisy talking about the trip. So, for you personally, what do you consider to be like when you say you book a trip? Do you consider it to be like the flights, or like the flights and accommodation? Is it like at what point do you mark the point? Like, at what point do you mark or say that you have booked the trip? Because I'm curious about what everyone's opinions are of that.
Don't need an army. Just a little imagination. What?
get her card here as the focus. Here it is. So here is Isis, or Aset. What does Aset have to say to Daisy today? Oh, that's cool. So what's already really cool about this reading is that we have the Fool here. This is the Fool. And then we also have on this end the World. Which is cool, because you got like the start and the end. Basically encapsulating the whole stretch of the major arcana. In the middle, we have the Seven of Cups. So already it's this sense that she's saying that... Oh, let me drop these cards. That when you're going on, you know, a journey, an adventure, a path, because the major arcana is considered like the fool's journey. From the beginning, the naivety and the leap of faith, all the way to like a sort of actualization. There's always going to be many ways to do things. Because the Seven of Cups is around this idea of like choice. And sometimes choices not being as good, or choices seeming desirable but having some other layer to them, or even a lot of good options it can be interpreted as well. And making sure you don't, I suppose, linger so long when you make decisions on certain things, to ensure that you don't, I guess, like, you don't overthink it to the point of choosing something that is against what you actually truly feel about a situation. But yeah, in essence, here we have like a whole stretch of a journey from the start to finish, and in the middle, the Seven of Cups. Perhaps it can feel like as well that it's like a little unclear sometimes of what steps to take, because it's like writing a story. So I don't know if you are a writer yourself, but a strong sentiment that a lot of writers feel is that they know how they want to start the book or start the story, and they know the ending for the book or story, and then they have to figure out what to put all in the middle of the story. And it's actually like a more relatable hard part of writing a book than many people realize. It's like not everyone knows what happens in the middle. We can know key events and turning points and those things. And even like when we look at our own path in real life, like in reality, we understand milestones and key points that we want to reach, the end point we want to reach, and where we start. And it's sort of a reminder here that that's a natural and normal thing to experience, that you can feel a bit chaotic or uneasy, or like you're wondering what's going on when it comes to, you know, your pathway. And I like these two cards here that have come up from the Egyptian Star Oracle, where we have restraint or end of conflict, and then also that's followed by care and nurturing. Hello Vana and hello Viv. But yeah, this really symbolizes to me that Aset, she's saying, you know, you're soon going to experience like the conclusion of a conflict, something that you've been confused about, something that has been a little bit of a conflict in whatever way that may manifest within your pathway, and that she is here to provide the care and nurturing that you deserve and may need following that as well. So her reassurance to you that it's going to be okay, it's going to work out, things will fall into place as they need to, as they will, and you can be assured that she'll be there following that too. Last card here. Destruction of enemies. Fun. But yeah, that's a good card too, because it demonstrates her active part in assisting you on your way and bringing you a sort of like sense of peace and order to what is happening. So it's not so much about ignoring or turning away from all the little confusing bits and from all the ways and possibilities that things can go, and in non-linear nature of what we do in life, but that we can actually face it head on, and that there are beings, people, our own selves to support us through that as well. That's your reading from Aset. You are welcome. Thank you for asking and coming to the stream. Feel free to lurk if you would like and chat. Just as a reminder to the lovely viewers and community here, be sure to double check my rules below in the about section, or you can do !rules to check out my stream rules. We're doing deity and spirit readings today, as we have been for the last few streams. So yeah, be sure to double check what questions are out of bounds. And thank you so much for being here. Comfort reading from whoever shows up. Alright, let's put these cards down for now. When we get the Hecate cards out, you know what that means. Alright. Comfort reading with Hecate. So we start with the Five of Pentacles here, which in a comfort reading certainly is a card that means the deity recognizes what you are going through at this time, perhaps sees the reasons why you may be seeking comfort as well from them. And it's not meant to be like a haha, like you need comfort. They wouldn't do that. But it's more of a, I see you and I hear you in this and I'm here for you because of this. And it's saying, I'm not turning away just because you are experiencing these feelings and what's going on. It's like the sense of seeing you whole and understanding things like your humanity, your experiences, and not wanting you to be... She doesn't want you to feel like hopeless about things as well. When it comes to 5 cards as well, 5s usually represent change. That's one of the only things I remember from things like numerology, is that 5 is the number of change. And so this can also say that you can expect or see change happening as you move forward, because as well as like a numerology thing, it's like in the middle of 10 and there's 10 cards in the suit, and so it marks the middle point. And how things don't only go in a single direction all the time. Which transitions to these other really cool cards that you got. Which is, this first one is the 2 of Wands. Which is a card all about like planning and looking out in the world and deciding on your next move, where you're going to go next. Which I think is quite an uplifting card when it comes to following the 5 of Pentacles. Because it's almost saying, from what you're experiencing now, you will find an opportunity to actually consider some new grand adventure that you can go on. You'll learn something about yourself, something about the world around you, something about possibility, opportunity, pathways. And you'll be able to start exploring them from a different lens because of what, where you are now. Which isn't to give that much credit to whatever is happening for you, but to say that sometimes these situations birth opportunities to explore something further. And we have this Page of Pentacles here. So this, I usually call this card like the student card. It's the Page of Pentacles is a student. There's someone who is willing to learn something, someone who is exploring pathways of learning. They tend to be associated with things like education and like career and jobs. Hobbies, physical pathways, so things that you may be putting like physical action towards, as opposed to only thoughts basically as opposed to just like thought and ideas and feeling. It's like all of that together to put it into the physical and bring it forward. And so I can see this like a very nice transition between the 2 of Wands, where you're planning and thinking about where to go, to the Page of Pentacles, where you're actually immersing yourself in the role of the student and seeing what is out there for you and is actually coming towards you as well. And she's saying something like the Page of Pentacles is someone who can transform things because of the page. So the page isn't like a queen or a king. And so she says it's like it's someone who isn't stuck in their way yet. And it's someone who's flexible, someone who's open, which means there's so much more you could actually do comparatively compared to kings and queens sometimes. Sometimes the Page of Pentacles is more powerful than the King and Queen of Pentacles because you need to be resourceful. You need to be open-minded. You need to be willing to learn. And sometimes when people get further along the track, they're not willing to learn, or they have so much resource that they don't know how to be resourceful. And so she's almost saying, find power in the ways of your circumstances and where you are at this point in your journey. She's very specifically saying at this point in your journey because she sees you progressing as well, not just staying in one spot. We have the 3 of Cups here, which I think is really beautiful because it is a reminder and also sort of like a hallmark of friendship and the people around us who can assist us in our endeavors. So she's saying here, for one, that there are people around you who will support you in this time, and she's one of these beings as well who can support you in this time. But secondly, that you will find people to connect with on this path that seems to be emerging for you and is appearing through this reading. So if you're feeling like, or you're wondering about like-minded people, or if people will be understanding of your situation, or if people will like care about what it is you are putting effort towards, that's all. That card is an affirmation towards that. You have this oracle card, Hecate's Wheel, Cycles. So she's saying sometimes things will feel repetitive. So for example, if you're in a situation that feels like it's happened again and again and it's happened before and it's, you know, there's all these things that are just like patterns and repeating and you're wondering, how do I get out of that? What I like about this card is that I feel like this shininess and rainbow overlaid to the image implies a sort of transformation and change in terms of, you know, you've gone through the cycles long enough that it's created something new within it. As if to say, like, you're not going to be stuck in the same cycle forever, and that there are ways to emerge from that and actually seek wisdom from that. And your other oracle card is Prostistos, Primordial Origins, which is the number one card in the deck. Literally like number one. And I think that's such an interesting pairing with cycles as well, because cycles makes you think of like things that happen over and over again and repeat, and origins is like the origin point, because it as if to like reference back to what began this in the first place. And I think here she wants to remind you, or even bring you back to those moments, whether it's relevant exactly to what it is you're seeking comfort because of, or even when you're reflecting upon your relationships and pathways with your deities and your spirituality in your life. Where are the origins? Where do the origins lie? How do they perpetuate the cycles that you are experiencing? And are there certain cycles that you would prefer to be within? And how does that differ from where you may be at? And if that's different at all? And what does it mean to, for example, return to a point of origin? Especially when you're in a stage of like Two of Wands, where there's this implication of being contained somewhere because this guy's in a tower. How does that relate as well for you? But all in all, it does look like she sees you in this. It's not like she doesn't see what's happening, but she has this really strong conviction towards this path that's coming up for you and your ability to essentially emerge victorious from what you are experiencing or how you are feeling or things that you may have been thinking of recently. That's your reading. You're welcome. I hope it helped. Hello, Fractured Mind. How are you doing? That is a fair response. Oh, thank you. That is a very nice offer. Do I have you on Discord, or do I just have... I would just mute you on TikTok?
To the party.
Ah, that's so nice.
As long as we're alive, we got a chance. We got to find a flaw in his plan.
What's your TikTok username again? So I remember. I don't even think if there's a reading I want right now. But I will definitely keep that in mind. Lucia at 3. Ah, yes. Cool. Yeah, the queue is closed at the moment. Just so I can make sure I can get through the readings. If there's still time for more readings after, then I will open the queue again. I'm not sure if they're typing right now, but just gonna say it just in case. Nico, you're up for a reading. Yes, it's you.
Find a flaw in his plan. Oh, not a chance, fella. Not a chance.
Hecate, Hermes, and Dio. It's a big think moment. All of them are very likely candidates for this reading. We'll go with Hecate again. I was actually like, as I was packing away the decks, I was thinking, oh, if Nico chooses Hecate, then it wouldn't be much point in packing away these decks. I feel like could be Hecate. Alright, classic. Funny cards. 4 of Cups. What is it that she's saying? that you're not getting. 3 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles. Interesting story she's telling here. Yes, I mean, these cards are quite famous, I feel like. Of all the cards to be famous and recognizable, there's something you're not getting card, the teaching card, and the Knight of Pentacles, which there's a certain deity you do associate with that one. Also drop those cards, they don't count. Oh, interesting. So we have Demeter, which is loss. And this obviously references the abduction of Persephone, or Kore. And then we have New Moon, beginnings. And then it's this crescent moon over this mountain range here. And then Pamatur, mother of all, nurturing. Which is very intriguing that we have like Demeter and then Pamatur here. Because Demeter is sort of seen as like the mother of Greek mythology, because her motherhood and her role as a mother is so important to her story and her love for Persephone. And the seasons as well, the turning of the seasons, which are a huge part of ancient Hellenic religion. A lot of the festivals and festival calendar, like at least for the Athenian festival calendar, but it would make sense widely as well, that they would follow agricultural, just like the agricultural calendar, agricultural seasons, the way that they harvest and sow seeds and keep track of growth, all of those things. That's all coming to mind as I'm looking at these cards here. Just like the depth of importance of some roles that may be overlooked sometimes, is what she's saying. The way that one's role can have such a hold over such a significant like thing. And I say that because, like, once again, of the story. And when I saw this card, the Pamatur card, my first impression was thinking about Hecate in this role, because like this is her like deck, right? So this is meant to be reflecting her as Hecate Pamatur, mother of all. And she like immediately said, it's like, I can do anything. She says I can do anything. I have the ability to do anything that you might need at this time. If there's a specific skill that you're looking for, if there's a specific domain that you're wanting to tap into, and then you may not necessarily have a deity who specializes in that, or you may be seeking an alternative deity from a deity that you don't want to like. It's kind of like, for example, if you're trying to explore something related to Dionysus, you don't want to ask Dionysus, then you ask Hecate, right? Because she's external and she can do it. She's like very widely, she has a wide influence. Even just looking at her Hesiodic version, she does everything. She's of all the realms. She's honored by all the deathless gods, honored by Zeus. helps Hermes in the with the herds, helps Poseidon in the sea, all of these like things. If you need her to help with something, you can call upon her. You have a motherly relationship with Aphrodite, and you were recently passed from her to Hecate. Ah, that would make sense, I think. Yeah, and then there's obviously this contrast here of the loss and beginning. So her saying that through loss you find new beginnings. Like that's one of her, you know, it's a big Hecate thing to find. And I can see here as well, like in these cards, in the tarot cards, it reflects in the way of her saying, you know, I can teach you what you want to learn. I can send you messages of what you need to hear. Nine of Pentacles can be associated with like growth, abundance, harvest, you know, things like that. It comes before the Ten of Pentacles, which I associate like with like inheritance. But then you can't really inherit something until you work towards inheriting it. So it makes sense to me that the Nine of Pentacles appears, because it's in a way saying like there is a lot for you to inherit, but also you need to do the work behind it. Such as when like the matriarch or the patriarch in like movies and stuff, they tell the kids, you have to do these things to fulfill these things for you to get the inheritance, you know, all that drama. But I'm sure you get the point of what I'm trying to say. She's very open and very much saying, you know, I have a lot more to offer than what you may see right now. Not that you may think, but that you may be willing to explore at this time. Ooh, you think it's clicking? That's good. Clicking is good. She said, don't ignore the ways that she's saying some of stuff. I'm trying to figure out what word she's trying to say. Don't ignore the ways that I can show up for you. Yeah, that's what she said. You're welcome. That was an intriguing one. I hope you have many good thoughts about this. Caleb's turn. Hey, Dream Impossible. Been a little bit since I've seen you, I think. Yeah, I am good. Feeling a bit tired, but that's, I think, pretty standard for, I don't know, I guess just like a week of uni so far, running errands, walking around the city and stuff. So yeah, it's okay. And I will have a good rest tonight. But how are you doing? Caleb, you have a feeling someone's reaching out but can't figure out who. Any chance you can get a read on who it is and a message from them? I don't do identification readings, unfortunately. If there's another request that you have instead. I do realize my Twitch rules are not updated to say that I don't do identification. I'm gonna double check this one. Wow, I did not add it. That is my bad. It was in the old version and then I updated it and forgot it. Hades, yes. Oh, where'd you go on holiday? If you want to share, you don't have to share where you went, but or you can just tell us like how it was if you wanna. Alright, put these decks away. Thank you for your understanding as well, Caleb. I'm going to set a reminder for myself to update that. Yeah. All right. Comfort reading from Hades. We're going to be using the Rider-Waite-Smith and also the Coven Oracle. Interesting theme so far. Went to a cottage in Northumberland, England. Oh, cool. Beaches, castle, and Roman ruins. That is awesome. Welcome back, Lay. Alright, so let's do an overview of your cards. First, we have the 10 of Wands, the 8 of Cups, the Knight of Wands, the Star, and then for your Oracle cards, we have Shadow Dance, which I'll go over the keywords when we get to the cards specifically, Digital Cauldron, and Ancestral Roots. Yes, it's out. It's so cool. All right. Thinky think. All right. Yes. The tarot cards first. So I feel like it's very similar to the reading before with Hecate, where they start off with like a card of recognizing your situation. And it seems that Hades here is bringing up this idea of you carrying a lot. Maybe doing a lot of hard work, having to carry a bigger load than you should be. Burnout, maybe, if you're experiencing burnout. He sees you in that, and he understands too. The thing with the 10 of Wands as well that I can appreciate is how the 10 is at the end of the cycle, and so it implies this sense of completion, that something is coming to an end or something is being completed soon, and that is actually a good thing, where you'll be able to release some of that responsibility and some of that load, some of the things that are holding you down or keeping you down at the moment. And I think as well he wants to recognize your strength, because, you know, as much as he understands the idea around it being like a not so great situation to be in if you are, you know, embodied in this person, it's sort of, I'm trying to explain his idea he's getting at. He's like, if you're gonna, this is not in a bad way, but it's like if you're gonna complain anyway, may as well also find the strength within what's happening. So he's saying like, might as well compliment you in the fact that you are like doing this, that you are strong enough to be doing this right now. It may not feel like it sometimes. It may feel like you're struggling, that you're being held down, that you're really dragging your feet, but it's not always the case. And he wants to recognize that in you, that you are someone who, like, the reason why, not in a blamey way, but like the reason why you're doing this right now is because you're capable of doing it. Not to encourage bad habits, but to recognize. Hey Neppy, welcome in. Trying to set the time back to the usual time slot at 10:30 for streams. I hope you're good. Next we have the 8 of Cups here, which, you know, it's very interesting. Both of these cards have someone like walking away from the viewer. They're walking away from something. And when I saw this card, it made me think of him, like he said, like, it's okay if you choose to walk away from something for whatever reason. For your own reason, personal reasons, beyond personal reasons, like whatever. Whatever it is, if you walk away from something, he affirms you in that. Like, that's good and okay. And also, like, if you decide to follow through with whatever this is and like complete it, and then decide to leave after that, despite the effort that you took to get to here, that is good too. He's bringing up like a sunk cost fallacy, where it's like sometimes people stay in positions that they don't really want to be in because they put so much effort into it previously. He's like, that doesn't matter. If you put the effort in for that period of time and you cared about it then, and that was good for you and you felt good then, but then now it's not the same anymore, don't let that past keep you back. He's kind of saying, like, you know, sometimes when we hear the gods say, don't let the past hold you back, this is an example of that, where he says, don't let the past, you know, even positive experiences and emotions hold you back from making change that you want to see for yourself, that you need to see for yourself. It's good and empowering to walk away when you need to walk away, or just to even step back temporarily if temporary is better for you and your situation. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. Following these two cards here with the Knight of Wands and the Star, and I love this pairing here, the Knight of Wands and the Star, because the Knight of Wands makes me think, like, this knight, out of all the knights, is the most likely one to go for their dream, like to ride off in, oops, sorry, I hit my mic into my mouth, ride off into the distance, into the sunset, chasing that dream, following that North Star. Like, this is the energy that I see in this card. He doesn't have to, like, think about what it is that he wants. He doesn't have to figure out all the logistics and the special details about it. He doesn't need to make sure like he has the acceptance of everyone going on. He is just like, he knows, he's in the know about it. It's like a secret that only you know about yourself, that you don't need to tell anyone, but they can see the success that you create for yourself by being in this mode, by doing it, by going forward, by following the star. I love the star being here as well in a reading like this, because it is the card of hope. And it's the card that says, you know, everything's going to be okay. You're going to find what you need, or you're going to come across what you're looking for. So I really see this as a really nice follow-up to these cards here of Hades recognizing this potential in you, and also opportunity that's coming up for you as well. So Shadow Dance as a card has the keywords truth, reveal, and transmutation. So it's him saying that sometimes when things get revealed, that gives you an opportunity to turn it into something better for yourself, which is a sentiment that we've heard today on the stream actually already. But yeah, we have these two figures here that I think they're pretty much like the same person, like they're twins. Someone tangled up in the roots and someone up in the branches. And it's as if to say that, you know, yourself who was in the roots, who was growing out of the ground and had to do all that hard work to establish yourself, that version of you continuously helps this current or future version of you who is growing up in the tree, who is rising up into the skies, who's bearing fruit. It's like every part of yourself, he says, contributes to your growth and journey. It contributes to your ability to figure out your truth, the core of who you are, the place you want to be, the rooms you want to see yourself in. He says, don't be afraid of facing the other parts of yourself, because they're all you. It's still all you. And it's okay that sometimes they're undesirable, or sometimes they're a bit scary, or sometimes it's nerve-wracking to have to look at yourself. Look where you've come from, to look where you wish yourself to have been at this point. Like when you think back to an earlier self and you think, dang, like they really thought I'd be here at this point, or I really thought I would be here at this point. It's all okay. He wants you to think, like, to kind of see it in the way that he's trying to reveal it. Not to make a pun out of the word, but like the way that he's laying it out. He sees a lot of potential in that. Digital Cauldron is sacred, code, and connect. So I don't know how much like the online like internet stuff is to do with perhaps what's going on in your life at the moment, or why you may be seeking comfort. But I think this is quite a unique card because it recognizes the fact that these days we do things like witchcraft and paganism and community online, and that the digital world is also in a way sacred because of the ways that we can connect with one another, the ways that we build things like shrines and sacred spaces and events and all of these things. And so it's a bit of a reassurance here, just in case it's relevant for you. Maybe he's bringing it up because it's relevant, that you're not any lesser if you do use or rely on or participate in virtual digital versions of sacred practice. That sometimes it is what the circumstances are, and sometimes it is what it means to move forward also in practice and religion and spirituality. And he's wanting to say here, don't forget to connect with people, because, you know, there's people like all around us online, like all of you guys watching the stream right now, you're all people, human beings on the other side of the screen. Unless for some reason you left your screen and your dog or your cat or your fish is watching, and then therefore you're not a human. But anyway, everyone you speak to, everyone you witness, everyone around us, like even through a screen, is human, and you could find connection there. So it's a reminder to you that it's okay for you to go out there and try find connection as well in the things that you're wanting connection in. And now your last card, is ancestral roots. So here it is. Legacy, lineage, nurture. I think ancestral roots is quite a cool card to get for Hades, considering Hades is, god of the underworld. And then the underworld is where you find the shades and the dead, the deceased, those who have passed. And so ancestors relate to that. I kind of see it being like literal and also metaphorical. Literal in the sense of, seeking family and I suppose like noticing patterns, even if they're like generational in a way. But also in the metaphorical way of, where do you come from in more ways than just blood. And like even like throughout your life, you are building an ancestry for yourself because of every person that you learn from, every person that you interact with in a meaningful way. In a sense, that's creating like an ancestry for your living self. And so he's here saying, what's the legacy that you're being built from? What's the lineage that you follow? In what ways are you nurtured? Nurture versus nature. If you're aware of that, or if you're not aware, I can explain it. Like nature versus nurture is like this model or understanding of or view of things, where nature is stuff that is like it's considered natural or like you're born with it, whereas nurture is stuff that you've like learnt and you've kind of grown into. And so it's almost a reminder that some of the things that you might want to change but that feel unchangeable, they're not truly unchangeable because they may not be necessarily part of your nature, quote unquote, but rather something that you were grown into or was nurtured or that came from legacy or lineage. But therefore that means it can still be changed and shifted. Hopefully that makes sense. And that is your reading for today from Hades, Caleb. I'm going to hydrate before I reply. You feel like he's pulling you to a specific path of work. Mental health work, helping people with your own experiences. Oh, that's really cool. Now, it sounds like you'd be a good peer support worker. Aha, a fellow counselor. That's cool. I mean, you'd hope I'd say it's cool because considering I'm also in the mental health field and I'm going to be a counselor. But yeah, I can see how that would be very fitting as perhaps your own legacy to leave and to establish for yourself. Establish and leave, other way around. Why is it that you feel that you have a long path to get there? Is it because your requirements in your like where you are in the world are very particular, or is it just some other stuff? And also, you're welcome. Thank you for requesting. I've just opened the queue for a couple more people if they would like to queue up for today's stream. You have to start at the bottom of college and build your way up. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What qualification do you require? Yeah, like what qualification do you require? No worries, Fractured. We've got Ivana, not White, up next for a reading. If there's any astrology buffs in the chat at the moment, could you remind me of when Pluto retrograde is and how long it's going for? Hello, welcome back. Let me know what you'd like for your reading.
Next business, refreshments. We have to feed the men and the girls too, especially you. Gee, thanks. The show. Well, we want something to eat, something to drink.
Oh, hey, Elle. Started Tuesday, runs till mid-October. What? Oh my goodness, that is a ginormous retrograde. Goodness. What is going on? That is crazy.
All right, now next is entertainment. We want to show Steve a good time, but, well, we don't know too much about what he likes. The best thing I know for breaking the ice and getting people...
Alright, Vana, I hear what you're saying with your situation. So I do want to remind you of my rules and the way I work with readings. This one would be considered sort of like a prediction of future telling and also mind reading, or in a sense like a third party reading. Yeah, that's okay. So if you have anything that aligns more with a deity reading or spirit reading, no, not so much for dynamic either. I think that kind of falls under what I usually don't read. Well, the primary thing here with what I'm doing with my readings at the moment is that, at least for this stream in particular, and for ones that are usually titled around like deity and spirit readings, it's because I'm focusing on like doing readings for people who have relationships with deities and spirits who they would like messages from. So I think this just falls outside the scope of my readings, and I understand why you're looking for readings in this field. But yeah, just probably for someone else to do. Reguel. Yes. That I can do. Jump the queue. Alright, you're number 2 now. I don't think people use that viewer reward enough. You are already in the queue, Fractured. You're number 4. You gotta take a closer look at the rewards then, Neppy. Oh, I do see your priority pools as well. I'll need to fit them in at some point. Alright, message from Raguel. Alright, so your first card here is the Hanged Man. It reads desire for knowledge, protects from lies, evil spells and bad spirits. You have the Death card here. Endings and rebirth, influences health and longevity. The Sun. Restoration of life, protection from adversaries, rabies, and wild beasts. So it looks like a lot of protection happening at the moment. And also we have the Nine of Swords here. Purification, protection from the impious, religious sentiments.
Your face will turn green. Your eyeballs will pop with pressure. Because our doomsday shows for your strength, you're gonna need an awful lot. When you see our shocker pictures.
So when we look at the story of these cards here, the Hanged Man, Death, the Sun, and then the Nine of Swords, what I see coming through from Raguel is that sometimes there will be a sense of discomfort when you're sort of like in the position of the Hanged Man, right? You're hanging upside down, being held by the toe, having to kind of just wait and see and feel out what's happening. And it's not like the best position to be in because, you know, as we can recognize from your situation as well, like, I don't know if it's specifically for that, but there are times where we're unsure and we're uncertain about things. And he understands that and is like recognizing that here is also speaking about like there's protection in place. Like even if you desire knowledge, even if there are things like answers that you're looking for, the lack of knowing doesn't necessarily mean that you are completely vulnerable or exposed. The Death card is about change and transition and about, as it says, endings and rebirth. So it's the release of old things to bring in something new, or like a snake shedding away its skin. We also see an hourglass here depicted on the card. And what's significant about the hourglass is that it measures time in one way, but also it can always be flipped each and every way to set the timer anew again. So you time things like the timer, the sand within the timer can be reused to basically restart a cycle or start a new cycle. And so it's as if to say here that there may be a sort of transition happening for you at the moment, especially as you're feeling the Hanged Man. It's like not for nothing is what the angel is trying to say, what the archangel is trying to say. And that what I find really interesting with the Sun following death is that one of the significant parts of the Death card in tarot is that there's a rising sun in the background. And so it's meant to speak on this idea of how, you know, even when death comes through, even when there's like a rampage and loss and all of that stuff, there's still the sun that rises in the background. And so I think it's actually really special that the sun comes after this card, because it's really focusing on the fact that there is hope even after what happens here, that a new day rises. And yeah, we literally have like endings and rebirth on this card, and this one's saying restoration of life. So it's like a really hopeful outcome to whatever is ending or going through this sense of rebirth and change. And then we end off on the Nine of Swords. I think it's significant here as well. We have purification as the keyword. So it's almost like a story here where we have the endings and the rebirth, the restoration of life, and then the purification. So going through all that change, all that transformation, clearing the way and restoring it, and then also finding the chance to like really like settle into it. The Nine of Swords is typically associated with sort of like thoughts that keep you up at night, is how I describe the depiction on the Rider-Waite Smith. It's this idea of like swords are associated with intellect and the mind, and so it's like things that are really like thought surface level. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but here it is, that one, the Nine of Swords. But it's as if to say that like this is going to be cleared away because of the specific depiction and associations for the Angel Tarot. You're going to find that this is going to be cleared away. So what was once confusing and conflicting at the beginning will become cleared. And like there's just really strong cards here with the Death and the Sun pairing to say that like you don't have anything to worry about, because whatever will come to pass will end up being something that is actually quite constructive for you. You're welcome. That is your reading with Raguel. I had to double check who he's the Archangel of, or what he's the Archangel of. Archangel of Justice, which makes it aligns, I think, with what was being said. A sense of justice coming through. Yeah, Death and the Sun definitely lend itself to justice, so that's really good. I wanted to like try not to check at the start because I didn't want his domain to influence what I was saying, so it's cool to see that it matches up a little bit there. Good morning. Alright, Neppy, you had Hecate and 2 MTG. This is really weird sequencing because it's like priority oracle pools, but it's also like jump the queue. So, but I think priority oracle pools supersede the queue. So I'll try to do that. Very quickly. Yeah. I guess it... Wait, does it... Yeah, it makes sense because of also the order of claim. So I will do...
This old switchboard could talk. Wow. Your ears would sizzle.
How long do you have? Because these ones are really quick.
Alexander Graham Bell's invention for granted today. Perhaps we should. But isn't it incredible that millions and millions of people can talk simultaneously to practically any spot on Earth?
10 minutes. Alright. I think this can be really quick. Oops. Apollo. And one for Hermes.
In the beginning, back in the old days, the telephone was something of an oddity, to say the least. You'd pick up this receiver to see that the line was clear.
Alright, Neppy.
You'd hang up,
Ears open.
ring with this crank,
From Hecate, Pharmakeia, knowledge.
and tell the operator what number you wanted.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Apollon, you had turning to stone. Basilisk. Just so you can actually see the card. And then from Hermes, you had trust your heart. If you want me to take pictures of those cards, let me know, Neppy. Oops. Alright. Yeah, I'll take pictures for you. Or a picture. Well, that's done. So, Elle, if you're still here, I can do the reading. If not, I will move the queue. Oh, good luck on your exam. You're welcome.
If there was anybody home, they'd answer and you could talk.
Good night. That's alright. Jig Mirror, if you're still around. Oh wow. Awesome. You were ready for that. Let me read your message. Do you have a specific deity you would like to request the comfort reading from, as that would be useful? Congratulations on reaching the great milestone. Are there deities that you do work with? Like just in general? Because if there are, then I can see who would like to do one. Alright, no worries. We can call upon your guides then. All right. One moment. Alright, so your cards are the Three of Wands, the Star, the Nine of Wands. You had Justice come out after that. And then you also had, it was actually the other way around. So the Two of Pentacles and then the Queen of Wands. So I can see in this the feelings that you're describing. Even through the Nine of Wands, this card is like a sense of burnout and this idea of like a lot of work being put behind something, but then feeling like now at a point of recovery, and sort of like the sense of like not being in your prime, or like the glory days having passed. It's like that sense, that feeling. It's not the reality of it. I just want to say that, but this is like describing the feeling behind it. And also the Two of Pentacles, I see here this imbalance that you're trying to juggle. I can see like you've described here, you've reached a great milestone, but also another failure. And so I can see in this card here, this sense of like back and forth, like juggling and feeling like, am I really doing this? Am I not doing it? Like, what's going on here? It's like this acknowledgement that it can be really confusing to experience these things, to feel as though, you know, like how is it possible to acknowledge what it is you've reached if this is the result? Like, that's sort of like the thought I'm seeing behind it. But then there's all these other cards here as well that hopefully will bring some comfort to your situation too. I do get the sense here that, well, it's like kind of obvious. Not obvious, but like it's said in the cards. This Justice card really stood out to me. It really does feel like the center of the reading here. Because you're describing, you know, these feelings and thoughts you're experiencing, and you're saying, you know, wanting to punish yourself for that. Justice is like, you're not being fair to yourself in saying those things. This is a card all about fairness and truth. It's justice, right? The scales and the sword, and someone in a place of authority, like someone like this force really to trust justice. And so this card is straight up saying, you know, you need to be more fair to yourself, and your spirit guides, they know that it's not easy to do that. It's not just a switch like, oh yeah, I'm just going to be more fair to myself, duh. Like, they know it's not like that. They know there's a lot more behind that. But they want, as a form of comfort, to say that it is something that they would like for you, right? They don't agree with you punishing yourself. They don't agree with you beating yourself up for this failure. Even though, like, it's something that is significant to you, it's something that you've worked on for a few years. Sometimes we get taught, is punishment the way? For them, they don't want anything with that. They acknowledge your milestone, and this Three of Wands here is a depiction of that. It's sort of like reaching the next point and looking at where you're going next. They want to say as well that there's still time, there's still opportunity, you're not at the end of your path. In some ways, you are only just beginning, which can be a difficult thing to hear as well. And especially like if you've been working on something for a few years, your reaction is going to be like, what are they talking about? This is not like new. This is something that you expected to know how to navigate, expected to have results from, and then it's just hasn't worked out. But they are really like, they're being persistent in saying that what you're doing here holistically, like as a whole, not just focusing on one or the other, it all is part of this journey you're on. And and this journey still has more to offer you. And you're deserving of being offered whatever it is that will come, actually. It's not just that, like, you know, here's a pity prize or here's something I'm just giving you because you're feeling this way. It's like the reality of the situation is that there is more in this world out there for you. And in the grand scheme of things, you don't have to feel embarrassed or disappointed or shameful, at least in the way of like overly, right? Because it is natural also to feel those ways, but your guides don't want you to be like over the top feeling that, because they don't, once again, they don't think it's fair to yourself and what you've done and all the effort that you've put in so far. And the star appears here. This is the card of hope, and it's their hope for you as well. Their desire to bring you hope, their desire to guide you, to be, you know, shining a point up here, like kind of like a flashlight in the dark. Like, even though they can't hand you the flashlight, aka like hand you all the answers or the way to magically fix things, they can still hold the flashlight and shine it on the path ahead for you. They want to do that. They're quite insistent on the idea of like appreciating your autonomy and your sense of self and your view of things, but also saying that the reality doesn't warrant something like punishment of the self or feeling all of these things. It's a delicate balance, of course, where they want you to make sure you're still acknowledging what you feel and at the same time not holding or blaming yourself for it, because they can see that your sense of self is affected by this, and they don't want it to be they don't want the laser point basically to be on the sense of self, but more so they want you to be able to focus on what the bigger picture is and what's happening around you. Yeah, sort of like that's what they're saying here. And then the last card I haven't been through is the Queen of Wands. Just to finish off the reading here, this is someone who is passionate. And someone, like, we have the black cat here, and I usually associate that with like knowing that there's still like dark moments, knowing there's still things that feel like bad luck, but still persevering either way. Because we have also the sunflower, and the sunflower is always facing the sun. It's a happy flower. And the wands is associated with passion and growth. So you've got that in you still, that passion, that growth. You haven't lost the foundation. It's still very much there and strong. But yeah, that is your reading for today, and I hope that brings you some comfort in your situation.
Oh, not a chance, fella. Not a chance.
Yep. Thank you for your patience, Fractured. Let me know what you'd like for your reading. Could you explain what you mean when you say is resonating closing with me? I don't quite understand the last part of the sentence. I can do a reading with Loki. I can also do a comfort reading because it's not technically a medical reading. But yeah, just need clarity on the last bit. Okay, cool. I get you. Yeah, all good. A comfort reading with Loki then. Okay, that's a bunch of cards that just came out. Oh, this is really nice. So have you done much with Loki so far? Like, are you someone who practices like paganism? Or is this pretty new to you, the idea of interacting with deities? Like in general? Because I know you said it's your first deity reading. And I just wanted to check, yeah. If it was new, like altogether. Okay, I get you. Well, I asked that because I'm getting a very apparent sense from these cards that he might be interested in exploring something like that. So we start this, what I would call the story of these cards with the Hermit, and this is representing you. The Hermit being someone who at the moment can stand alone and typically has a lantern or a torch with them. And it can represent how it can be difficult to see what's around you when you're in the dark just with a lantern and by yourself. You may have built up a lot of skills over time, or you're perhaps being forced to at the moment build skills around how to navigate the sense of darkness, the sense of unknowing. That's where we start. And what I find really interesting is the following 3 tarot cards here. So this is Two of Wisdom, which is the equivalent to the Two of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And I love that. And it's additionally reinforced by the next 2 cards that we have here being the Moon. This is the Moon and the Sun. So we literally have the Sun and Moon. The Sun and Moon and the Two of Wisdom or Two of Cups. Which I think that's just really cool. It's definitely like hinting at this sense of partnership and the sense of working together. And I think that maybe this is something that he's offering to you very explicitly in this reading as a means of comfort. So I'm going to leave this here too because I think that's good. That's the same card there. So both of these cards depict a sense of partnership. So I definitely think there's an invitation here for you. The sun and the moon as well can capture this idea around duality. Loki as a deity is quite a deity of transformation and shape-shifting. Yeah, the yin and yang. Loki can be a lot of things. He can be someone who challenges you and pushes you past your limits. He can also be someone who's very comforting because he knows what it means to be in so many different shoes, so many different positions. The sun is of light and reveals many things. The moon is typically of the hidden and what needs to be intuited. And then the moon as well is a card that represents, when you do develop those skills of intuition and searching, you grow stronger. And the sun as well can blind. So both of them have these qualities of like desirable things, undesirable things, things that you can actually see in all different ways. Both of these celestial bodies and these archetypes have so much to them. And of course you here expressing an understanding of this yin and yang concept as well, where there's a bit of each of them in each half or each portion. The moon also represents this idea of going deeper. So spiritually deeper, intuitively deeper, which makes sense of this form of invitation onto a path of practice and devotion and partnership. And then the sun the sun is yet another card of hope. So it's similar to the star, but the sun is like happiness, joy, nostalgia, being connected with a younger, like the young spirit of yourself is what he's sort of saying here, like the young spirit of yourself coming out and being able to find comfort and joy in embracing that in times of difficulty. And he knows that it can be, he acknowledges and understands how this can be a bit like, oh well, will that really work? If this is what I'm experiencing now, how is looking back like at my younger self going to help in that? Will it even do anything? But he seems to think that there is some merit in exploring that as well. Like being able to recognize yourself as a human being who has all these qualities, and you're not just your current self, but your past self, your future self, and you still are allowed to have things like dreams and desires to pursue. I absolutely love these two oracle cards here that you got. So this is I in the Void, Mystery, Trance, Surrender. And it's very much like I see you and I invite you. And he, like, even as you've read the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, there's still like mystery to the existence of a deity, a divinity. And it's almost like he's kind of like watching and waiting. But yeah, it's a very potent, like powerful card, I feel like, when it comes to deities, because it's all about like the depth that could be found if you want to go searching, if you want to go looking. And then we have Reaper's Gift here, shed, believe, become. And I think these are very empowering words, especially if you're feeling a bit afraid as well. He's saying to shed and to believe and to become. And these are all things that I believe that he is associated with, that he can assist with. And it's like the gift of change, the gift in transformation, the gift in being able to let go of something, but also find power within that still. Yeah, that's the reading for you. That's your reading. It seems... I like it. I don't know. I really like this. Obviously, it's your reading, so it's up to you whether you want to like it or not. But yeah, there's something there for you. You're welcome. Thank you so much for your patience as well. And yeah, I wish you the best in your situation as well. It does sound to be a scary situation, but I'm sure that you'll be able to make it through. Or maybe not through, because that's not really a great word to use in that situation, but to navigate it. Alright. Well, Well, lovely people, that brings us to the end of today's stream. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoyed the readings we did. Feel free to tune in each week for tarot readings, and also if you wish to, you can tip me at my Ko-fi, kofi.com/crossroadstarot. You don't have to, but it's much appreciated if you do, as I do these streams for free each week, and it just helps support help support the cause, I guess. Actually, I don't want to call it a cause. Help support just the channel. Alright, let's see if there is anyone else streaming. Got Sophie's tarot. Is there someone else, a new person doing tarot? See you, Fractured. Bye, Daisy. Yay! Let's see if we can go raid someone. Maybe we'll raid this person. Alright. Catch you next time, lovely people.